Today's conversation is a powerful example of what happens when you stop overthinking and actually move. I'm sitting down with my friend Courtney, founder and CEO of The Good Kind, a brand that was built from a real life need as a mom and has grown into a value-driven business rooted in quality, intention, and longevity. What I respect most about Courtney, well, there's some other things, but is how she navigated the evolution of her business, making decisions, pivoting when needed, and building something that aligns with how she actually wants to live and work. So today we're talking about what it really looks like to build something from scratch, trust your instincts, and move forward, even if you don't have the full picture. So if you're feeling that pull towards something more, this conversation will meet you right there. So welcome, Courtney. This is the True North Club podcast. I'm Sheena, and we have Mishelle, our co-host, and yeah, we have Courtney from The Good Kind. So welcome. Thanks so much for being here today. I know you're a busy lady. You're like powerhouse running a business. And we've kind of maintained, we met back in 2019 and we've like maintained, just kind of like a little bit of a distance of friendship because the entrepreneurs were always in the business doing the things. So it's hard to kind of catch up. So I'm excited for today's conversation because I get to catch up with you. So, do you remember how we met?
I do. I do. Specifically, one of the, but I ended up missing my flight
Yeah.
back to Windsor from Toronto. Okay. So I missed my flight. But anyways, goes to show you that like when you're in good company and you're having conversations are flowing, it's worth it. So, but my kids were really little at the time and I was pretty devastated, but it was worth it.
But you were able to get the next flight pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a few hours later.
Well, I was just talking to my husband this morning about that. I said, yeah, I'm like, I remember she missed her flight. And I said, but that's what happens. I'm like, these moms, I'm like, we're so busy and so focused. Like, you get even 24 hours away and you're like, oh, okay, I have to cram a whole week's worth of talking and networking, within 24 hours. So I totally understand.
That
We
was a
were
great
at
event.
a Jillian Harris brunch.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a lottery, like where I got pulled to like be in the lottery. Like it was pretty hard to get tickets. And like thinking back to 2019, I used to go to a lot of like networking events. Did you do that too? Like just
Much more so then, yeah. When I launched my initial business in 2017, and it's funny because like even though my kids were really little, like I did feel like I was more networking with other entrepreneurs. I was talking to other people. I was doing more podcasts back then, and maybe it's just because like this time around I'm so busy with my kids' lives like as well because they're doing all the things and all the activities that like that part of it has taken a back seat, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully we can
It
ramp
ebbs
things
and
up.
it flows.
It ebbs and it flows. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that like I have I'm part of like a seven figures founders club and that I have to pay to be into this group to be able to like converse with all these high profile founders, and I can hardly even get to it. Like it's just that's supposed to be my networking. I can't even get on there, like not even once a month at this
oh
point.
man.
Life is busy. I mean, my kids are so I know no Sheena, I don't know Mishelle if you have any kids, but like it is once they start
Yeah.
going, it takes over,
Yes.
their activities. My oldest daughter is a competitive dancer, my youngest plays travel hockey, and it's like divide and
When you
conquer.
started your original business, did you have the kids or you started the business and then you had the kids?
No, I had I started my first business. So we sold personalized silicone labels
Mhm.
and for like water bottles and baby bottles and things like that.
I
And I
Yeah.
have
started that
some.
with
I have
my
some
daughter.
for my kids. They're cute.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. People I still get messages to this day. People saying
For
like,
that product?
yeah, because they'll DM and they'll be like, for some reason, I have like messages about like water bottle labels because we just changed like the name when
Mhm.
we pivoted the brand. And so people still reach out like, are you going to do that again? Can you offer those again? I lost my water bottle labels. So, but yeah, my youngest, so I had my first and my youngest was 3 weeks old when we launched.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, she's seen it all.
That's incredible. I couldn't even get dressed 3 weeks into having a baby.
That was all from home. I
I
know.
think there's like a
It
mommy
was honestly, I
delusion.
look back at those
Yeah.
I look back at the days and I remember we were trying to like we had a date, a launch date, and we were trying to get the website. And I was up till like 2 in the morning. I'd get up at 6 and I'd be feeding through the night. Like, and I feel like I'm way more tired now. Now it's all catching up to me. Like in my 40s. But yeah, I don't know how I did it back then. I really don't. Adrenaline.
Adrenaline, coffee. It's funny because I only started drinking coffee when I was 35, when I was pregnant with my second child. I had not drink like I didn't drink coffee before that, but it was pure
Really?
necessity. I'm like, I can't stay awake. I can't, yeah, run the business, take care of the kids. Like, okay, now coffee's my best friend, obviously, besides Courtney and Mishelle. But I think there's something about like mommy delusion. And then also when you have this like desire, like I know you're a determined person and you're just going to make it work, right?
Yeah.
And
You
it
got the
doesn't,
vision, you have the clarity, and then the actions are just coming through. You can't stop it from happening because the vision's so clear.
and you're like, I
Yeah.
have to do it. Yeah.
I don't think you might not know this about me, Sheena, but I played sports my whole
Mhm.
life. And I played Division 1 basketball.
I didn't
So
know that.
like
I
I'm
did
used
too.
to like I had yeah, I had that like grit about me that,
Yeah.
if you just tell me I can't do something or I can't
Watch
have
me.
something, I'm gonna
Yeah.
like figure out a way to make it happen. Yeah. And it's like this chip on my shoulder. I'm also the youngest of five. So, you're constantly trying to prove yourself. And so I think it kind of comes from, the way I grew up too.
You have to be scrappy.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about your original business that you had with the silicone labels because you were actually in a big subscription box. I think you told me 20,000 units with that product, which is bonkers, the amount that you had to do. But it's funny because was it during that time that you were already transitioning into your new company and like pivoting out? Yeah,
It
just a
was
bit more about that because I know that listeners, they think sometimes, okay, I have this idea, I'm going to do it. And then when it's not quite working out, they either double down or jump ship. Like, how did that pivot look like for you? Yeah, into a
yeah.
different,
So I started the business in 2017, I think like no, yeah, November 2017. And then that prescription box that you're talking about, oh sorry, the subscription box that you're talking about, that happened right like end of 2020. So it was
yeah.
a few years into the first business and I had already like seen the challenges that I hadn't anticipated.
Mhm.
And so that business was a personalized business. So we had, outsourced all the personalization at one point. Then we brought it in house and invested in all the equipment to do it ourselves. I quickly realized how much I hated personalization and being in a personalized business. Um,
Well, thank
you
you
know,
for my personalized labels. Sorry, I do appreciate that.
we nailed the process. We
Yeah,
really
it
did.
was beautiful.
We worked really hard with the manufacturers of the machinery and everything to get it. So, because you had this like little section that you
Yeah.
had to get a name in there perfectly, and it couldn't look scrappy, and it couldn't look, it had to be a smooth finish. Like, there was so much precision into it. But I just realized how much I loathed personalization. I was like,
What
I
about it?
one of it was like a scale thing too, right? There was just so much
Yeah.
effort going into this product that you had to put the labels on the because we did the manufacturing essentially,
Yeah.
and you had to put them on. Then you had to run the machine, and we had hundreds of labels running at one time, and if
Mhm.
one little thing messed up, the whole batch was screwed.
Right.
And then hopefully, we got past that phase of getting it pretty good, but then we had to soak them, scrub them, let them dry. Like it was a whole manufacturing. We were manufacturing them, and I just realized
You were a factory.
it was a
Okay.
factory, and I in my kitchen, like that's how it started. And I wanted nothing to do with it. I hated it, and yeah, we were at the height of like that business when I decided I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I also too was like, how can we scale it? And then I just having conversations with other entrepreneurs, like, what are you gonna like, pre manufacture like a bunch of names that people
No.
you think people have. And you can try that. They have that at those kind of stores, but like, how big can this get? So I just there were a lot of obstacles that just made me think, you know, maybe this isn't going to be it for me. But I knew entrepreneurship deep down, like I was still meant for this.
Yeah.
This just might not have been the product.
Yeah.
So it was nice to like go out on a bang with the subscription box. So that was, you know, we got tons of publicity, tons of press.
Yes.
We leveraged it. A lot of that PR, we leveraged it. We had all influencers across Canada talking about it. And like, you know, Nick's was like, is still, but like, you know, very well known, and they were on their like trajectory, right?
Yeah.
And Sarah and Jillian spoke about it, like all of like everybody who was anybody at the time. It was just very exciting. So it's nice to like go out on a bang. It was literally probably 2 months after that I kind of announced like, we're wrapping this up. but I all sales. So we are wrapping this up.
You know what? But that was good exposure. And then you're able to kind of clear through your inventory. I got asked that question too, because my mama's sweaters had like the embroidery on it. And so people all the time be like, could I get my name on there? And just logistically, I'm like the amount to like digitize it, get different thread, like the coordination factor, like the work on my end, like with my embroidery house to do that. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. Like the margin of error is huge. And then also the time that you have to put into it. It's just, it doesn't make it actually worth your time. Like if I'm being transparent, it's like, it's just, it doesn't make sense. But I understand we're like, that's a good place for a lot of people to start, to get their feet wet and to figure out business, figure out manufacturing, figure out what works, where the problems are, so that you can move on to your next thing or pivot to your next thing. So I think that that's a really good lesson, that you don't have to stick if you hate it. But yeah, it's probably not what you're meant to do, but you obviously learned a lot with what you want to do and what you don't want to do. So
I honestly like after that, I had so much more respect for like Etsy makers, right? That's not really me. I'm a business and operations strategist. I'm not really crafty and creative. Like I want nothing to do with a craft. I'm real with myself and be like, what's happening here?
No, was that scary? Was that scary to make that decision at the height of your business? And tell us more about what you like, your thought process in that, and then how did you move past the fear?
Yeah, I mean, it was very scary. It was a very emotional decision, but I had to be, you know, really thoughtful about it as well. But you know, I felt like there was moments where I felt like a failure a little bit. And I was doing this publicly and doing it in front of my kids, and I had invested so much time, energy, money, and I had already kind of walked away from my corporate career, and now I'm walking away from this. And it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, God, you have to like really look deep and know that I'm not walking away from this journey. I'm walking away from like this moment and like this particular business, but I'm not walking away from entrepreneurship or like giving up on myself in that way. But that was hard, very difficult, very challenging.
Such a good mindset shift though, from I'm a failure to I'm not failing. I'm just walking away from this, and I'm not walking away from what I actually want to do. It's just this particular instance, which doesn't mean that I'm not going to be successful later.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually I remember doing a podcast with a friend of mine. She actually owns a distribution business as well in Ontario. And she asked me a question. I don't know how I even remember this, but she was like, what makes this different? I'm like, cause like, I can't fail at this. Like when I had pivoted to the Good Kind, like this has to work, you know, like I'm exhausting all the resources at this point. And like, my kids are still little, like this has to work. Like there's no failing at this. So
there was no other option.
There's no other one beast in you. That's just the beast came out. You're like, no, this is happening.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to, like I said, I had this like chip on my shoulder of like proving myself. I watched like so many people, even like around me, I know, you know, while they believed in me, like, you know, they saw me, you know, walk away from, you know, a great, 6-figure job and, walk away from a great, we were rising multi 6-figure business at that point. We weren't a 7-figure business yet, but, walk away from that. And, to them, it looks like failure, different as an entrepreneur, but it wasn't easy, but
Was there a exact moment, do you recall, that you made the
yeah,
decision in your head, the choice in your mind that, okay, I'm doing this and here we go? And what was that like?
like I'm doing this, like I'm walking away.
Hmm. Like
Um,
this chapter is closing. Like, is there a specific memory or a moment that you felt that, okay, I made the choice and I'm not looking back?
I can't
Mishelle calls that an interrupt, right? An interruption. Yeah.
So I was outsourcing all that production that I talked about earlier. And then when that started like not working out with that individual who was doing it, then we bought all the equipment. And then I was like, this is getting like out of control for me. And I wanted to get it out of my house. And we weren't at the phase where like going into like a building and investing in that way. So I'm like, I'm just going to outsource it to this other personalization house. And when that started not working out and like, we were just not a priority. And I was just like, and I'm driving and going to pick up the labels and bringing them back and the logistics of it all. I was like, I have little kids and I'm like, what am I doing? Like they're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
mix of this,
Okay,
like,
so maybe it was a moment in the car where you just were like, what is this really the life that I want right this moment? Like, is
what?
this working?
I remember during COVID when we were asked. So I applied for something with Indigo, and it was they were really trying to get Black founders into Indigo, and all kinds of stores were doing it. But there was this like specific program, and it was for really targeted at small businesses, women, minority businesses. And I applied, and I was like, we are the perfect product. And I applied on that idea of like pre-making these like common names, and we had this like beautiful presentation, and I was like, they're not going to say no to this, like it's great, and people know the brand.
Yeah.
Both like the influencers we worked with, I'll both work with Indigo as well. And when we didn't, we got rejected from it, and it was basically like opposing the personalization idea. I was like, yeah, like I oppose it too. I remember thinking like, I oppose this too.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're
So
done.
good though.
It's good.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay.
Sometimes, I mean, those are all signs pointing to. So it sounds like there was a lot of things leading up to this moment of realization, but it was like all signs leading towards this isn't working.
Yeah.
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 And I think knowing that if I'm going to really make this work, I'm going to have to like own this manufacturing process. And like, that's not really what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It
Okay,
wasn't
but
what I wanted.
now you have a juggernaut lunch kit business. It's premium, sustainable, and it's anti-fast consumerism, which I love. Yeah, tell us about what you do now, like where you're a massive success and how that pivot was the best choice for you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about a massive success.
You know, you are, right? Our words create our world. So
Yes.
yeah.
Step into it now.
Yeah. Like at that time when I was like pivoting, there was like a 6-month gap between ending Nomi and Sibs was the labels, and then the Good Kind, starting the Good Kind. And I was introduced because my silicone manufacturer, because of them, I was introduced to my stainless steel manufacturer, or at that when we first started stainless steel manufacturer, because we have switched. But my daughter, my oldest daughter, had already started elementary school. And she was coming home. We were already kind of like moving away from plastics, but she would come home and she had this like issue with like, her crackers tasting like strawberries and this like food transfer smell. And
Intermingling,
like,
it's just not happening. It's got to stick. Yeah.
Be serious for
it
kids.
is serious and you like my kids at school starving, and so it just got my, founder, the entrepreneur me, the, ideas were flowing, and the connection was made with the silicone manufacturer, with the stainless manufacturer. And it just kind of all was like, oh, I think this is something, and worked and finalized the product. And honestly, when we launched, the product wasn't perfect. It took about 2 to 3 years to really get our perfect batches. And because of like the seasonality, so the lunch boxes are stainless steel bento boxes, and our differentiating factor was we have the silicone seal in the lid that's removable. So you can clean it very thoroughly, because the other ones that had these seals, they get mold. Eventually water gets trapped behind there and mold, right?
Yeah.
Worst thing having next to your kids' food. The seasonality of the business too is like you really have this like 10-week window. You know, we sell now every year we grow and we sell, you know, we do well throughout the year as well too to sustain the business, but we will 10x what we do in March or April. We will 10x
As
that
people
in
are gearing
August.
up to go back to school.
Like it's that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
And when you were creating the product, did you design it yourself or did you work with somebody to get that done?
Yeah, we worked with that manufacturer at the time to come up with, they were coming up with a prototype that was similar to what we were using, just like a different design, what we were using at home. And then I had the idea of putting in that silicone seal that could be removed, which was the game.
That
Because
is
I
the
felt
game changer. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, because I have other lunch boxes that are just aluminum or metal, and yeah, there's no silicone seal, so it's still
Yep.
when my son, he has got to put it in his backpack sideways. It leaks. Like if we have, it depends on what it is. It'll drip into his backpack. So I know
Okay, and silicone seal,
what you're
you're
talking about.
you're talking
Yeah.
about that seal that goes around the lid so that it can seal
Yeah.
the lid to the box, and that seal is what's removable to be able to wash it.
Yeah.
Feel to wash it, and then yes, like Sheena was saying, like prevent those like leaks. It's not leak proof in terms of like, yeah, put water in it or soup in it.
Yeah.
But if you put things like a hummus or like cottage cheese, think that texture, then it will be fine. It won't leak into the like the next compartment. And the biggest issue for most of our customers is not even the leaking; it's that food transfer smell. Like the kid that my kid
The smell. Okay, got it.
like,
Yeah.
well, the crackers tasting like strawberries now because it's in the right next to it. And certain kids, you know, especially like neurodivergent kids,
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
sensitive to that. And so, you know, we didn't realize at the time, like we were solving, you know, a problem, a huge pain point for parents and children.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a great product. Do you ever get
But we,
pushback because it is such a premium product, like to make it cheaper? Or what are your business like non-negotiables? Because I know like if you're making silicone and you're doing all these like intricate, I can't even say that word. Sorry, it's very intricate. Yeah, like what are your business? I was gonna say intricacies. No, I can't. I can't. Help me, MBA. I don't know what to say. I was not an English teacher. It was math and science, point form.
I know what you're
You
trying to
you got
I
it
can
right,
say I can
Sheena.
say
You got it right.
deoxyribonucleic acid, but I can't say some other words. Yeah. So what are your business non-negotiables? Yeah, because obviously, and even manufacturing, it's just and the shipping and everything. Sorry, you can just answer that for me because I know for sure that you probably got some pushback, like make it cheaper, make it faster.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And so obviously never working with plastic. Once we started going into that journey and, you know, realized who our customer was and just realized what we wanted to, you know, I always was against putting something out into the world that was like eventually going to end up in a landfill or like cause more harm than the good that it does. And so it was really important to me to find a material that was safe 100%, especially for food contact and for kids, but was also safe for the planet. And so, you know, non-negotiables, never working with plastic. The silicone is like a premium platinum silicone. And so like there are tons of silicone producers out there. They're not all like made equally. Similarly with stainless steel, they're not stainless steel that you see it as on a store shelf for $9.99. That's different from what we're using. So
Got it.
going through our like third party testing with our like localized
Mhm.
US agencies and Canadian agencies at the time. So because things do change in production and manufacturing and you want to make sure nobody's, you know, cutting corners. And so that stuff was always has always been from the beginning and still is, you know, a non-negotiable in terms of like we wanted to be premium for a reason, not to like wanted to be premium and because it mattered more so than just delivering a product for those other reasons I talked about, like, you know, what is this going to do 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Is it going to end up in a landfill? Is it going to like, harm the planet for these kids one day? Like all those things play an important role. Even with our silicone, we have silicone recycling agencies that we use. We used to have, even when the other business, any silicone that was damaged in production, or we would even recycle customers' old ones that were ripped or whatever, we would ship it back and recycle it. So we were very committed to that, and we still are. So those definitely are non-negotiables.
How did
So
you
cool.
how did you come like that way that you're like, it has to be good for the environment? I was raised by like a hippie mom where we were recycling before recycling was cool. Like our whole back end had different, for aluminum and this, and we go to the recycle depot on the weekends. Like my sister even said to me the other day, she's like, I even recycled my gum wrappers. Like I'd make sure that it went in the right recycle part. So that was something that like I grew up with. So it's very important like to our family. And so when with North Kinder, we make everything in Canada because we want it to be local and to help the local economy. So where did that come from? I'm just interested because I don't always have that environmental conversation with people. So I'd like to know where
Yeah,
that started.
I definitely am not going to say I was, my mom was a hippie, but,
Okay, okay.
was
There you go.
that evolved over time. And I think just, I always say, like, when you know better, do better. And like, so I wasn't always, I used to be the person that was like, oh my God, give me like the harshest, like the most potent cleaning products on the planet because I want to make sure everything is like, spick and span and no germs. And now I'm the opposite of that,
Mhm.
And so my journey into like low tox living and, being very mindful about recycling and the environment long term,
Mhm.
um, has been a journey, like a progression. And I think during COVID and those times, just being home more, like I had a massive compost in my backyard. I really like, I love composting. I love doing all that. I love being outside in nature. But I'm also like, I like really nice things too, like I also lived on a golf course. It gave me nightmares. My low tox community would say, you should live at least 7 miles away from a golf course because of all the like stuff they spray, right?
Mm.
Oh,
So no
okay.
low tox person would really want to live. I didn't know that at the
Then it
time.
gets
And
into
now,
the groundwater, or there's just, okay, I never see, I
I
didn't.
never thought of that.
it's in
I never
there.
thought of that.
Yeah. So you can get really deep with it. And I am, but I'm also like realistic, I'm
Yeah.
not going to you do what you can when you can. And as you
Yeah.
learn, you just make better choices.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
totally fair.
Well, and
Well,
I was talking to another mom friend, and it was like almost everything now is toxic. As you find out more and more, all the things. And it's like you think you're making the right choices, and then you find out that the thing you chose is now also toxic. So it's like, well, what am I supposed to use? Like, you just don't know. You have to just do the best you can and just continue on the journey, like you said, because you can't get rid of it completely. It's just little by little.
Little by little. And as you learn more, do a little bit better, make small choices. I mean, the last thing any of us need as like working mothers is like more stress, right? On ourselves. And like this actual movement, and I'm part of many like low tox groups on Facebook, and you really can see this movement becoming like hostile
mhm.
against each other. Somebody's asked a review about a product, and then all of a sudden people are like, that's not non-toxic. And it's like, slow down, right? Like, we are not here. This is supposed to be like a support community. And, you get people who are very, very passionate about it. And then you have these like early, early adopt people that are just slowly starting to adopt this into their life. And, like I said, the last thing anybody needs is like somebody putting more pressure on a mom. So I just tell people like slow and steady, slow
Yeah.
and steady.
Okay, from being an entrepreneur and having a business mindset, if you were to like strip your brand away tomorrow and you had to start from scratch, don't get stressed. This is just a thought experiment, okay? This isn't really happening. What would you do in the next 30 days to build momentum? And I know that that's a big question.
So like to build momentum back up into this business or starting over?
Like
Was
just
something
starting over, starting clean slate from scratch. What would you do in 30 days?
Great question.
I know.
you know,
I have to think about that one too. That's a heavy question. Because what are just, I guess what I'm trying to think or prod towards, or like what are the things that work? Like even if it's marketing, scheduling, workflow, customer communications, like what are the things that just seem to work for what you're doing? That would probably be a good way to point it.
so if I were to just try to revive this business and pick back up and to get to this where it needed to go, um, for us, I probably would go heavy on community. We, I'm very nonchalant on social media, but we are like heavy in like meta advertising.
Mhm.
And so we really didn't have to have like focus on community and develop like growing that big following or that like cult like we have like cult like followers in the like Reddit groups and the low talks groups and things like that, but not like our own social media. I
Mhm.
think that would be something that I would really lean into and that we're starting to lean into. We just hired an agency to do to help us out with that. So I would lean into that much more. I'm very active on like stories, but it goes away, right? Not like
Yeah.
post reels. And it takes a lot of time to do all that editing and all that work. And other things have been working for us. So it's like, oh, but I think I would do that. I would definitely lean into building a community, posting a lot, really getting connected with my customers and my audience. Um, Even more so than we are like via email and all
Yeah.
of those other things, but community on socials for sure.
What about building momentum? How did you build the momentum going from, because you said you took a 6-month break
Mhm.
from the labels to the lunch boxes. How did you get that momentum going again to step into the lunch boxes and like recreate the brand or make a whole new brand, basically, is what you did. Created something totally new. How did you get that motivation, momentum? Like, how did you get moving to get that started?
So we'd gotten a pretty good following on social media and having come right off that subscription box.
Uh-huh.
Um, there were influencers. We had already, had our products in the hands. So we had people watching. And I think people were waiting to see like what was, when I say people, I mean, I think at that time might have had like 12, 15, 12,000 followers. And we don't have that many more. We have under 30,000 now. But, you know, um, organically, people loved those silicone labels. I will tell you, I used to go into restaurants and like see people like everybody water bottles at the table with all the kids, and people would come up to
Oh,
me
yeah.
all the time. And still to this day, I get messages. So we did have like a bit of a community
Yeah.
at that time, and I think I just leveraged that. I rolled it over because everything for the first 3 years um, of the good kind was organic. Like we didn't put anything into paid. And
Mhm.
so outside of like paying for our Klaviyo subscriptions and things like that with email, but no paid media buying. And then once we started like getting aggressive with that, once we had, like I said, nailed the product, we knew I was much more confident being aggressive with things. Then it was like,
Mhm.
Was there
like
ever a moment of doubt?
yes.
Yeah, she's trying to mindset ninja you. I told you this was going to happen.
Well, I'm just so
Good. No,
curious
it's good.
because
I
also
love
too,
it.
I
Yeah.
think our listeners would
Yeah.
probably want to know too, because doubt can be such a progress killer.
Yeah.
And you could be so clear and have the momentum and ready to go, and then doubt creeps in. So I was just curious if doubt was ever a factor for you.
Someone else puts the doubt in you. They're like, oh, well, did you think about this or how this could go wrong and this could go wrong? And you're like, no, but I am now. Like, thanks a lot.
Mhm. So our biggest pushback has always been on pricing. And especially in Canada, that at the time we launched, the exchange rate was horrible. It's still not great, but it was even worse. And we were doing things wrong with shipping and all this stuff. So a lot of people had a lot of objections towards the price, and even people close to me did. And like, I remember, I'm not going to say this who it was, but they're like, are you really selling $100 lunchbox? And I was like, it's actually 120.
Oh, oh
Because it
snap.
was, because
Yeah.
in Canada it was. And at that time, product, it had to make sense. We had a different approach to why it was, priced the way it was. And since then, the price has come. But you have to learn all those things, and but those comments and that commentary, right, definitely put a lot of doubt. And there were a lot of people, I had a lot like friend circles and stuff who, a lot of my friends did support the business and buy from the business, and then a lot of them didn't. And so that's really hard too. You're
Yeah.
like, gosh, these people are my customers, right?
Yeah.
But then I learned pretty quickly that, like, just because they're moms doesn't mean they're your customers. Just because they're packing a lunch, right? People have to evolve to this journey of like paying more for something that is intended to last like forever, right? This is not a lunchbox you're going to throw away. Hopefully, this is a lunchbox that every single one of your kids is going to be able to use.
Mhm.
And if you take care of it, maybe their kids can use it. I don't know. Like this, we have a 10-year warranty. We stand behind our products. We have replacements for every single component. And I that comes at a price, right? And so, but that objection, and from hearing it so much, it was hard, that
Yeah.
definitely put doubt. But I was like, if we reduce the price, like at that point, it was like, we won't make it.
Right. Yeah.
Till
But sounds like you got clear that you just started to understand and see that this product's not for everyone.
Mhm.
And you
that's
had a
it.
really strong belief that this product is for someone and there are people that will pay that. And you were able
Absolutely.
to move forward. Yeah. Great.
Absolutely. And honestly, when we moved to the US, when we started positioning, sorry, not even just the move, we started positioning the product better for the American buyer, once we were selling, like shipping out of the US.
Yeah.
Canada was already introduced and familiar and either objected or loved. So when we started positioning for the US buyer, um, that's when things really turned and took off. This is such a big market here. And
Yeah.
Canadian consumers, I find, are a little bit more cautious, a little more hesitant, want to think about things. But since it's funny because we just get way more traffic from the US, but our Canadian customers, we have like I want to say like a 0.5% return rate for Canadian customers, whereas US might be a little bit more, but there's way more buyers, right? And we sell way more in the US. But the Canadian consumer, when they make a decision, they're all about it. That's how I feel.
They're loyal. I see.
Very
Well, I mean,
loyal.
in the US too, there's just more people. So you just have more people to sell to. And honestly, a 0.5 return, that's fantastic. That's really
For
good.
Canada,
Yeah,
yeah. Overall, we're I think under 4%,
that's great.
which is, yeah, crazy good for e-commerce. But it's the type of, in the category, it's probably pretty on par.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned earlier, because I know I see on Instagram your kids are in dance, you said hockey. Like, what do how can you decide now, like, what's worth your time and energy? Because Michelle's a mom, I'm also a mom. Like, how do you, I hate the word balance. I feel like balance is like a curse word, like, because there is no balance. It's like what needs your attention now is what gets your attention. So maybe just give us some insight into that. Like, how do you decide, especially with running your business, baby, and operating and being married and making sure having that time with your husband too. Like, what does that look like for you? How do you decide what gets your time and energy?
Uh, Everything else decides for me, I feel like. When I pivoted and we launched The Good Kind, it was like a shedding of a lot. Like I said, I had two things that I had walked away from: my corporate career, and then my what silicone business, No Me and Sibs. And then, so I was really invested in making this happen. And, I had to look at friendships. I had to look at relationships. I sacrificed so much. I remember the days of like just my husband taking the kids to the birthday party, to somebody's birthday. Like I never could go to that stuff. I just was all in. And you have to be, you really have to be all in. And in doing that, you lose people, and that's okay. I think there's like seasons and friendships and seasons and relationships in life, but I just, you, it's really hard, and it's a sacrifice that you don't really know you have to make until you're in it.
Yeah.
And then you're in it and you're like, I've got no other choice. Right. But it was
Yeah.
really important to me for myself. I felt like pleasing myself and doing what made me happiest, and that was success, and succeeding at this journey, like that was the most important to me, and I had to like be selfish in that moment. And also my kids watching, like uh, my kids watching this entire journey, I had to show them like what hard work looks like and what the sacrifice looks like. And so we have a pretty tight schedule with like literally I drop the kids off, I go right to the warehouse, I pop in there for a couple hours, I come home, I work, I have meetings. We both do the carpool line. We take the kids, they go to I drive 30 minutes one way, my husband goes 30 minutes the other way with the other kid. And like that, just the businesses and our kids' schedules like dictates our life right now. And there's really no room. Like there's really very little room in between. So like we've moved into one thing that was really challenging. We had a new build when we were in Canada, like a new build home, and we had spent 7 years finishing it. And we moved here. We moved to this wonderful community of all these like older historical homes. So now we're in like a 1950s home that needs a complete gut, right? So like that doesn't even get our time, And so when I say like the business, and my husband also is a partner in a business and has a full-time job, like it's not easy, and it's not for everybody. And I don't know, like, I don't want to, if you ask me right now, I don't know what I would say. If it's like one of those things, like if you knew then what like it would be, would you like to
You would do it?
I don't know. Like, I think maybe if you ask me like in about 4 years when we exit.
Yeah. Yay.
Well,
Well, you know what I say? I'm like, with entrepreneurialism, the highs are really high and the
yeah.
lows are really low. So if I would have stayed in my regular job as a teacher, yeah, it would have been good, and it had a pension and all those wonderful things. But that's not, I didn't have that satisfaction. Whereas even though it's way more work, it's way more time and energy, there is a lot of personal satisfaction there. And for me, like I take my kids along. Like they would come to the factory with me. My factory's in Vancouver. I live in Edmonton. So we'd be in Vancouver, every 2 to 3 months. And like everyone got to know the kids. Like, and one of our trips that we didn't take them because we had to do a quick in and out. Everybody, my fabric distributor, like my trim place, my pattern maker, everyone was like, where's the kids? Like they just like got used to like seeing what the business is and like what the process is and how this looks. And I don't think that it has to be one or the other, especially when you do have your own business. You can incorporate your kids into that, and it doesn't have to be separate. And you know what? I'm the mom sitting in the bleachers with my laptop open or on my phone doing work. And, or, my kids are at the trampoline park running around and I'm sitting with my computer open. Like that's just the reality. And I'm okay with that. Am I like, and I'm sure you're sitting in the stands, at the hockey games doing emails and whatever else. And that's okay. Right. Like we can be there and also do our job. So, and I also think it's for a short time frame. Like this is what's happening now, but it's not always going to be this way. And, because I'm an athlete, I'm not a Div 1 competitor, but my kids are athletic and I want to see them do well and they enjoy it. So they have that window where they can go, they can compete, they can train. It's just a short window until they can drive themselves to practice or until they can do it. So just like, okay, we got this.
Yeah. So it has to work, and you got to. I think too with that whole like you got me thinking of that bleacher comment and the laptop open and the working. I think I used to think about what everybody else thought. Like the younger mom in me, I would be like, oh, the optics of this doesn't look good. I'm not paying attention to my kid. Or now I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. It's because
Like,
you're in your 40s. You just care less. I remember someone
I
asking me that once. They're like, Sheena, how do you like get past like what did they ask me? Oh, like, body issues or thinking about your body. And I'm like, honestly, you just get older and you don't care. Like
yeah,
I don't know what the answer is. Like, just so many other things become more important to you that
Yes.
those other things are just they're not important anymore. They actually get crossed off the list, erased off the list, burned off the list. Like there's things that I don't even think about that I used to think about before that are just they're gone. So
yeah. Well, I'll
much.
tell you one thing that's been difficult because I always thought I'd be that like PTA, very involved in the school mom. And ever since we moved here, I've been like, nope. I, I don't even feel bad. I really don't even feel bad because I'm like, you know what? We'll make good donations. We'll, do what we have to do in that way. We're changing the world in another way. I
Mhm.
can't like change the world, do everything. So you have to really like give yourself grace and let go. Like you said, know that this is for a short window and it's not always going to be like this, and just like be okay with it. Be okay with like, you know, disappointing other people if like you have to live for you and your dreams at some point, right? And if it's important to you, then you just have to prioritize that. And
Yeah.
that's what gets your time. If it's not aligned with the goals of the family and the goals of the businesses and things like that, it doesn't get our time.
That's so true. Sorry, that makes me
Great
think
filter.
on a more
Yeah.
personal note. Yeah, like if there's like a bake sale or something, I'm not going to bake the cookies, but I know I can pay for someone to bake the cookies. Or like there's, well, and actually my son plays baseball and there's a volunteer requirement every year. And I'll be honest, we pay the volunteer check because I'm like, I don't have time to volunteer. Like literally every second of my time. So I write the volunteer check like here. I actually can't do the box.
Yeah.
I can't like
And now you're okay with that. Like
I'm
I
okay
respect.
with that. Yeah.
And I look at like the community we live in, there are a lot of stay-home moms and they're all about like the school. Our school is in the US, the schools are the parents are very involved. Particularly in this district. Like I'm talking some are there daily. Like it is a lot. Like in the school. So which is wonderful. It's just I'm not there in my life that I can, I'd be letting so many other things go. And my kids understand that. They
Yeah.
understand.
And I think the important thing, just listening to you guys talk, is just that that doesn't mean that it's less than or that it's not
Absolutely not.
just as important what you are contributing, what you are doing. And then I think where the mom guilt comes in is when we try to say, oh, because they're there physically all day, then they're doing better than I am as a mom. And that's not necessarily true. It's just different.
Different. And I
Just
respect,
different.
appreciate, and value all those,
Yes.
hardworking moms and dads giving all that time, because there's other ones like myself who just can't. And so, I thank them up and down all day, every day, because we need parents in the schools. It's important. But yeah, it's hard. The other day, my daughter, not the other day, it was a few months ago, she had said like, you never come do the chaperones, like the chaperoning of the school
Yeah.
trips. And I'm like, you're right. I don't a lot do the chaperones of the school trips, and I'll make a better effort to at least try and do one, or, it is hard because you're, in some respect letting them down, but you're also, showing them a valuable lesson, right? Too.
But
And
you did the right thing. You said, okay, well, that's important to you. So I will try it. Like, mommy can't do five, but I can pick one. Like,
yeah.
I think that that's fair. And Mishelle making us feel better about the mom guilt. I like it. So good.
Yeah.
I kind of have one last question because, yeah, just like we said, it just being busy and being determined. But you're happy though, right, Courtney? Like, you're happy with the choice that you made. And like, I can tell it. You're smiling. I can see that the wheels are turning all the time. Tell everybody
Like
that this is fulfilling.
define happy. I'm just kidding. No, you know what? It
Are
is
you
very
happy that you left your corporate job? Like, would you go
oh,
back to your corporate job?
never,
There you
Never.
go. Yeah.
Never, because I'm kind of like, I'm not on the other side of it yet, but like the road to where we are now is really, it's still like, we're still very small, very much a small business, but
Yeah, you're still building.
we're still building, but I see the trajectory and I see where we can go with this. And, um, but earlier on, I didn't, and so, like you said, Sheena, the highs are really high and the lows are very low. And this journey is very lonely. Um, but I think if you're able to kind of get over it, get maybe not all the way to the other side, but like start to see a trajectory and see the potential of what, see a little bit of like that hard work paying off, then you can keep going. But overall, absolutely never would I go back working for somebody else. I would always work for myself. My kids, I'm like, you're never going to work for anybody else. You're going to have your own business in some facet, some capacity. And so it's very fulfilling to be on your own time and to be, in charge of how your day goes every single day. But it's not easy. It's definitely not as glamorous as I think people think when they're like, I'm just going to quit my job and, you know, um, go work for myself and it's going to be great. And I'm going to put on an Instagram account and, things are just going to start. It's not like that. There's a
Yeah.
lot that goes into it. And I think the biggest thing is the sacrifice that you have to be okay with in your heart. And not everybody is. I think everybody thinks they might be, but not everybody is. So for
Mhm.
to answer your question, I am happy. I wouldn't change anything, but it was been very difficult, very challenging journey so far. And I don't think the challenges are over. They aren't over. You just have to navigate them and learn to deal with them.
They're just different challenges, right?
Just is.
I go to a lot of business conferences. I used to do more of like the small business, like mom, like networking type things, but now I do like, yeah, more business conferences. And even the top level CEOs that are running billion-dollar companies, they're like, it's just different challenges. So it's not like you're ever going to be this perfect life. The year is going to be perfect. That quarter is going to be perfect. It's just different. But you get used to being able to navigate them, problem solve, and figure it out. So it's not, there's never going to be this perfect bubble. It's just a different set of challenges. So,
Yeah.
but that's why we have community. That's why we have each other.
Yes. I
That's
do.
right.
I say all the time, like that. I was so hungry when when we were first starting out, and I was like, I just want to like be a 7-figure business. Like that was like in my head. And to be honest with you, like looking back, like I miss those days when I was like doing it out of my basement and like UPS was coming to my house and picking up all the orders and they were stacked up in the garage. And it was that you don't know it, but like that, I miss that phase sometimes of like, it was just so simple. Now I'm trying to like figure out where we're going to get money for $1 million POs, like things like that, or, POs that we have to, like orders that we have to make.
Fill
And
on. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's, problems are never ending. You grow with them and you figure it out as you go. But I would say,
We can talk after this. I know some investors.
send them my
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's good.
the problems just you learn. If I think one indicator to know if you would enjoy entrepreneurship is if you like solving problems all the time, then this is for you because that is what you do all day long. Is you
Right.
there nothing goes right. You are solving problems all day long. It's great.
Period. Exclamation mark. That is the truth.
I think one of the things that I love to share is that, we are B Corp certified, which a lot of people might not know what that means. A B Corp certified company is essentially a company that has been vetted from like a 360 lens in terms of like giving back, contribution to the environment, types of products that are like like employee involvement. There's just so much that goes into getting that certification that is very challenging for people to do. And we, within like couple years, I think in third year, we got B Corp certified. And so a lot of that came from our partnership with different charities, and one of them being Mary's Meals, that donate. So we donate school meals for every single lunchbox purchased, and sometimes up to a full month of school meals in some countries. So
Wow.
we're focusing on like communities where extreme hunger is an issue. And unfortunately, there's like families, mothers who have to decide whether they're going to send their kids to the streets to beg for food or to school. And so having these school meals as an option it pushes the parents to make that decision, get the kids, keep them in school, keep their education moving. They're going to get fed in that way. So that's something I'm really proud of as well. And then we don't,
That is wonderful. That is, wow.
yeah,
That's
we
fantastic.
don't talk about it enough because there's just so many things. So that's part of why we just hired this agency to help us with like getting that stuff out more, because it's important messaging. And I think as like any startup starting now, there has to be a something beyond just the business and profitability, right? Profitability is important, and you got to have profits to be able to give, but there's got to be a little bit more meaning and a little bit more power and substance to what you're doing beyond just like selling a good. So it's something that is really important to us.
You know what? The biggest companies, they have huge charitable contributions. Actually, I was able to meet the CEO of Hobby Lobby, David Green. This was a few months ago. They give away 50% of their profits to
Oh, wow.
charities, ministries,
Wow.
organizations. They meet every month as a family, so like grandkids, siblings, everything, to talk about like where they're going to give, what they're going to do, if they're going to continue supporting certain things. And they did, I think, $10 billion last year, and
Wow.
they beat out their largest competitor. So it's really interesting just to sit down. I was able to talk to him personally for about 15 minutes and just hear about how, like the structure, how they run the business, how they do that. So be encouraged. Like that's fantastic. You're already feeling that. Like we got to give, because that giving, it comes back to you.
Yeah.
It
Uh,
does, yeah.
I think when we started giving, we probably shouldn't have at that point. We were like losing money at one point, but we weren't losing money, but the business wasn't profitable. So it is important to maintain and have a sustainable business, but having that length, that leg of give back is very important. And consumers want to see that too. It's important to them to know that the companies that they're supporting, are also doing the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad. Yeah, if you're doing all these great things, you got to get it out there. We got to make sure everyone knows you're already doing all the hard stuff. Just got to market that and show that. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I know you're such a busy woman, and thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Where can people find you and follow along The Good Kind?
Yeah, so thegoodkind.com. Kind has two I's in it, or at the Good Kind on Instagram and social media platforms all over.
Follow her. You need to. And if any of this conversation resonated with you, this is what you're going to find in the True North Club is we're gathering women, people that are entrepreneurs, business minded, where you can find community. And if you're ready for that next step, got to join the club. This is where you're going to find myself at North Kinder, and you can go to the True North Club. And then Mishelle, where can we find you, my co-host?
You can find me at the Mishfit or also in the club. I'll be there supporting you all with your mindset.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. And yeah, can't wait to chat again and record and just see what your $1 billion exit is going to be, Courtney. I know it's coming.
I don't know, but
Amen.
thanks, ladies. It's been a pleasure.